So Mortal Kombat released. Seemingly successful. Took the world by storm. Loads of people loved it. Loads of people hated it. It's been divisive, look, at best. Let's just be honest, right? But there's been a recent interview between an HBO Max executive and IGN, which is perhaps a little bit more telling for where they see this going as a franchise. Are we going to get a sequel, basically, I guess is the real question. Now, we already know that there have been talks of a sequel. There have been discussions internally, some plans with filmmakers, so much so that writers have come out, and same with directors. But never anything as clear-cut as this, at the very least in an indication of how Mortal Kombat was perceived by studios, as well as just anyone in charge of anything that they could be doing moving forward. So this is going to be quite telling, I think, and I do genuinely believe that there is some room for a sequel here, regardless of whether you liked or disliked the movie and whether you want a sequel or not. It seems that HBO Max and I guess thus, Warner Brothers and New Line are really quite happy with it. Really quite happy with it. I think they even surprised themselves. So I guess first things first, my real question to you guys is, did you like Mortal Kombat? Yes, no. If you did, would you like to see a sequel? At the very least, especially with how they've said they're going to go about it. So, that being said, let's actually check out what was said in this interview. So, it's very much a question and answer based interview, so I will have to read it all out. I'm sorry. But IGN, and this is further down in the interview, I'll leave the whole thing linked down below. I think you guys will like it. It says You've seen a pretty big increase in engagement for HBO Max compared to HBO Now, which makes a lot of sense when you look at the amount of content that is available. Are there any surprises that you're seeing there? For example, anecdotally, one of the conversations I always have with friends who have kids is about Disney Plus being an obvious purchase. And they're happy with it. And then they got HBO Max for themselves as HBO fans, and it's, oh, I forgot this Cartoon Network and Sesame Street. So they have that for their kids. Are there any overlapping trends where people were jumping between different content that you may not have predicted? Pretty fair question, actually. Most families have got Disney Plus now. It seems to be a no-brainer for a lot of people. Even people without kids were just like, yeah, I'll just get Disney Plus. Like my neighbours, my friends, such. They're like, yeah, no, we've just been watching Mandalorian on Disney Plus. I'm like, wow. One, you waited that long to watch it. Disavow sailing the seas. But secondly, wow, you're paying, Disney Plus. Interesting. Because I don't view Disney Plus as massively worthwhile, to be perfectly honest. It's not something that I feel like I want as an adult. But it's an important question, especially when you have, an HBO Max executive in front of you. So Wilson replied, and bearing in mind, the question, Disney Plus, etc., Mortal Kombat was an interesting title for us. Because I will say that while we expected it to do well, we did not expect it to do as well as it did. It's been one of our top assets on the platform. Top asset on the platform. Now that's big. That's sequel-worthy discussions there. And those customers are now crossing over into watching all the other great titles that we typically see. But also some of the great library content that we have with Friends, The Big Bang Theory, The Sopranos, etc. That is huge talk. And we didn't get them coming out and actually revealing that much about Mortal Kombat. This is the first we've really heard about it, realistically, about them actually being, well, as positive as this. This is very, very positive stuff. Like I said, this is sequel talk, I personally believe. Now, it's not just that, ladies and gents. No, it's not just that. There was more that was said. So IGN, when you're looking at how well something like Mortal Kombat performs, how does that impact conversations you might have with the content licensing and acquisitions teams? When you're looking at these kind of figures, how does that impact how you're thinking about future IP and actively developing more of that specifically for Max? Again, good question, And does it tell us what we want to know? Are we going to get sequels? Not just to Mortal Kombat, right? This is telling on how HBO Max is working their business in general. And Wilson says, we believe that we're here to share and tell stories and create meaningful, enduring connections. That is a lens by which we start. Do we use that data to inform future programming decisions? The answer is yes. We partner very frequently with Meredith Gertler, Manager of Content Strategy and Planning at HBO Max, and her team to talk through what that looks like from all the lanes. Kids and family to young adult to scripted and unscripted. These are early days. We're all sort of figuring out the art and science that we lead against. But we're also trying not to deviate from a formula that we know it's been really successful with all original programming in the past. Now look, there is a whole myriad of bits and pieces that you could probably garner from this interview. But I really wanted to hone in very specifically on public discussions from executives on Mortal Kombat. Because we've not heard anything yet. This is realistically the first stuff which is as hugely positive as it was. And this movie did reasonably well. At least with HBO Max, they believe it's one of their top assets. That's huge conversations to throw it out there. That's a big narrative to throw out there. So do I think a sequel will happen? I actually do now. I actually do believe a sequel will happen. Do I think it's going to be announced anytime soon? No. And that's mainly because of the Warner Media Discovery merger. But I do think that it being one of their top assets, it'll be there, right there. They'll be discussing it. They will be there on the drawing table. What are we going to do with this as a property? This was very successful. Did it draw in as much box office that we wanted? Maybe not. But did a lot of people come in and watch it? Yes, they did. So should we turn it into just an HBO Max original movie? Maybe. Maybe. And that's obviously a discussion that they need to have with New Line, but it's all kind of part and parcel of the same company at the end of the day. So this could cross hands. This could be made specifically for HBO Max. It's interesting. I found it interesting, at the very least. So what do you guys think? Let me know down below. And also, the other take home from this is they seem to just be responding to figures, right? Obviously, that remains to be seen. We'll see how that progresses and moves on further down the line. But they are literally saying, hey, look, we don't want to break from a formula that basically makes us money. Lo and behold, someone with good business sense. So let me know what you think, ladies and gents, down below in the comment section. If you are new here and you stayed this long, please do consider hitting subscribe. You clearly enjoyed the video. And please do hit that thumbs up button on your way out. If you are a returning subscriber or you're just curious and you want to follow me elsewhere, please do over at Mr. H Reviews on Twitter as well as Instagram. And I have a second channel which is linked down below in the description box where I work on cars and do some slight vlog things, but mainly, predominantly, working on rebuilding some classic cars. Thank you so much. Take care.